Bone broth, chicken stock. This is the foundation of many great recipes. Whether I'm cooking grains, if I'm reducing it to make a sauce, there's so many things that you can do with chicken stock or bone broth of any type. Reading the nutrition label here on this bone broth that I purchased, we've got 6 grams of protein in 1 cup of chicken broth. So just a little tip, if you're buying a carton like this of bone broth at the store, flip it over, check out how much protein there is per serving in the serving size. It's typically 1 cup. And the more protein, the higher quality of stock it most likely is. It should be fat-free, and I'll describe how to do that at home here. Clean, lean protein. When I purchase chicken stock out of the carton, out of the store, which I rarely do because I like to make it at home, it's a far better value if I do it myself. I look for this one, it's unsalted. The significance of an unsalted broth is if I decide to empty this thing into a pot and just boil it down to a glace, as you would call it, I'm not going to concentrate the salt content, and I can add my own salts and control that on my own. In my kitchen, I like to use Himalayan pink salts, and you rarely find that in products on the shelf. So I purchased this carton of chicken broth for $6, I believe. Just as an example, this whole chicken was on sale. I think it was only $8 and some change. So for the price of one bird, I'm going to get all the different cuts of meat that I can take off of there, and I'll produce a stock that'll be just as good, if not better, as this product that I purchased. Check out my video on cutting a whole chicken if you're not familiar with the process. So if you've done it correctly, what you will end up with is the body, and you've taken all the good eating parts off of there. And just have a little bit of fat left, and I'm going to remove so that I get a leaner broth. This is the best way to go nose to tail, if you're familiar with the term, where you're using all the parts on the animal. Very little waste. I do end up with just a few pieces of fat. I usually throw the kidneys out just because I feel like it's not a very clean organ. But the heart, the liver, the neck, all that's going to go into my broth if the chicken comes with it. So this is what you would call the body. And the idea is to find yourself a good pair of shears. I love these Mercer shears here. I'll put the link in the description of the video. If you decide to click on my links, you're supporting my channel, and it's not going to cost you anything. So I cut the pieces up. Smaller the better, that way I extract more of the nutrition. And I'll just cut it straight into the pot over here. Just like that, I'll add a little bit of water, pinch of salt. If you don't have good shears, a cleaver might work. Just know that if you have a cutting board you like and you're using a cleaver, it will destroy your cutting board. The key to maximum collagen extraction, and that's the goal of chicken stock really, flavor, but also collagen, right? It's good for your skin, hair, nails, joints. So I start with cold water. I'm not going to bring water to a boil and then add the chicken parts. If you start with cold water, you're going to release more collagen. So it's easy as that. Put your chicken in there, your water. Like I said, I use a little bit of salt, not too much, because I often end up reducing the stock down and I get like a jello-like gloss. And then I can cube that up, freeze it, save it for later, add it to things for flavor, use it as a base for sauces, things like that. So after you've cooked the broth for 4 to 6 hours, at least, at a low temperature. I started at a medium low and then I end up turning it down to a fairly low temperature. I don't want to see a boil necessarily, but I do want to see the liquid moving, and that's just giving me peace of mind that we're in a safe temperature range. Good things are happening, right? In the final hour of the cooking process, most people like to add their flavors. So it's not going to be just your chicken flavor. I like to add carrots, celery. Some people will add onions. You would call that a mirepoix. But you can take it, to the next level if you want to start adding juniper, bay leaf, a sachet of maybe peppercorns, all kinds of great stuff, right? We've done all this work to maintain a safe temperature range, and we can't give that up at the last minute. So in order to properly cool the chicken stock down into the safe temperature range, keeping it out of the danger zone, you don't want your foods to be between 40 degrees and 140 degrees. Bacteria grows between those two temperatures, so if you're cooking something, you want it above 140. If you have something chilled or you're holding it in the refrigerator, you want it below 40 degrees or 41 degrees. So the best way to chill your chicken stock quickly, you can't just leave it out on the counter. You can't just put it in a container and stick it in the fridge. It won't happen. I have a bowl of ice and water. A second bowl goes on top of that. I'm going to strain directly into this bowl here. We'll bring the temperature down really quickly. I'm actually going to re-boil the rest of this, is the word for it. I'm not actually going to boil so much, but bring back up to a simmer with a little bit more water just to extract what's left. So we have our reboil, or a remillage, I believe it is pronounced. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Make sure you keep some fresh ice in the bowl underneath to ensure that things are cooling down quickly enough.